Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare
Radha Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesh Gopi Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कंचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदानेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। श्री राधे गोलोकानंद भगवान की जय।
जय।
श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय।
Jai. Hare Krishna everyone.
हरे कृष्णा करुण, कृष्णा जय, हरे कृष्णा सचिन।
Hare Krishna.
Right? So, कल हम लोगों ने श्लोक 5 तक पढ़े थे. We started chapter 29 and Kapil Muni explaining the devotion. He's explaining devotional service here, right? Like as we know in the previous shloks, Mother Dehuti was asking the questions in terms of explain how the devotional service is done, right? And the significance of devotional service. And so that's what Kapil Muni is now going to answer. So Maitreya Muni, let's start from shlok 6. Anilji. Anilji. अनिल जी आप पढ़ेंगे?
जी मैत्रेय उवाच इति मातुर्वचः श्लक्षणं प्रतिनन्द्य महामुनिः आबभाषे कुरुश्रेष्ठ प्रीतस्तां करुणार्दितः. Sri Maitreya said, O best amongst the Kurus, the great sage Kapil, moved by great compassion and pleased by the words of his glorious mother, spoke as follows. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, yeah. So the Maitreya Muni said, and oh, best among the Kurus. So Maitreya Muni is addressing to whom? Whom is Maitreya Muni talking to, right?
Mahatma Vidur.
Mahatma Vidur, yeah. So if you remember, like, you know how Mahatma Vidur goes to all the Tirth Sthans and then he meets Uddhavji at Yamuna river, and then Uddhavji directs him to Maitreya Muni, who is doing tapasya at Gangatar. And then Mahatma Vidur meets Maitreya Muni at Gangatar, and then he's asking all different questions in terms of the universe, in terms of the Supreme Lord, and so on and so forth, right? So Maitreya Muni has been explaining to Mahatma Vidur. And at this point, Maitreya Muni is explaining the avatar of Kapil Muni, the Sankhya Gyan. That's what he's explaining to Mahatma Vidur. And so, in the previous shloks, Mother Dehuti is asking all the questions about devotional service to Kapil Muni. And so what Maitreya Muni is telling to Mahatma Vidur is that the great sage Kapil, yeah, Mahamuni hai, is being referred to the Kapil Muni. He was moved by the great compassion, yeah, and pleased by the words of his glorious mother. Says like Karuna Dita hai, like by a great compassion. And then he spoke to his mother as follows. So, yeah. And why was Lord Kapil was very satisfied by the request of his glorious mother? And the request, what is the request? Request is by his mother to explain about the devotional service for the benefit of the fallen conditioned souls. Like all of us in this material world are essentially fallen conditioned souls, right? And so his glorious mother was thinking not only in terms of her personal salvation, but in terms of all the fallen conditioned souls. And it's mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, it says that in Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated that persons who are trying to elevate the condition of the fallen souls by preaching the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita, namely full surrender unto the personality of Godhead. That is the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita, as we know, are very dear to him. Thus, when the Lord saw that his beloved mother was very compassionate towards the fallen souls, he was pleased and he also became compassionate towards her. So, the Kapil Muni is now speaking to Mother Dehuti and explaining about the devotional service. Ajay?
Sure. Shri Bhagavan Vach. Bhakti Yogo Bahuvidho Marge Bhamini Bhavyate Swabhav Gun Margenam Pusam Bhavo Vibidhati. Lord Kapil, the personality of Godhead, replied, O noble lady, there are multifarious paths of devotional service in terms of different qualities of executor. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, yeah. So Sri Bhagavan Vach is, of course, Kapil Muni, avatar of Lord Vishnu, right? He's saying that Bhakti Yoga Bahuvido. So he's saying like the multifarious paths of devotional service based on the different qualities of the executor. Swabhav Gun Margena. Essentially, what Kapil Muni is saying is that different people come to devotional service for different purposes. There are 4 purposes which are being mentioned. Like sometimes a person who is distressed because of material conditions becomes a devotee of the Lord, right? So that his distress can be mitigated. Somebody is in the need of money, also approaches the Lord and asks for more money. Yeah. Others, not in distress, not in need of monetary assistance, but seeking knowledge to understand absolute truth, also take to devotional service. Yeah. And so there are different types of devotional reason for doing the devotional service is what is Kapil Muni saying. And so actually the path of devotional service is one without a second, but according to the devotee's condition, devotional service appears in multifarious varieties, as will be nicely explained in the following verses. Yeah. Tarun?
Abhisandhyaya yo hinsa dambhya matsaryam evacha eva va sarambhi bhinnadra bhavam mayi kuryatsya tamsaha. Devotional service executed by a person who is envious, proud, violent, and angry, and who is a separatist, is considered to be in the mode of darkness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, yeah. So the people who are envious, proud, etc., right, and they are executing devotional service, then that is to be considered in the mode of darkness. That is tamsa, right? Tamsik. Like we know Satogun, Rajogun, and Tamogun. So this is like considered in the tamsic way. So even like the bhakti devotional service has been classified into like Satogun, Tamogun, Rajogun, and all that, depending on the person who is the devotional service, the way he is doing the devotional service. Yeah. So that's pretty interesting. Like bhakti also has been classified in like different modes. Yeah. So this is like mode of ignorance, tamas. If he is being executed in envious or others, yeah, in the mode of anger, then that is a tamsic, mode of tamsic. And next one, Sachin.
विषयाणां विसन्धाय यश ऐश्वर्यमेव वा अर्चा दावर्च येद्यो मां पृथगं भावः स राजसः. The worship of deities in the temple by a separatist with a motive of material enjoyment, fame, and opulence is devotion in the mode of passion. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So if you are many times, we are doing the devotional service for some benefit, some material enjoyment, yeah, like with the fame or opulence, then that is rajas. Yeah. So that is classified in the mode of passion. Jyoti? Jyoti, are there? कर्मनिहारमुद्दिश्य परस्मिन् वा तद् अर्पणम् यदेधस्तव्यमिति वा पृथग् भावः स सात्विकः. So when a devotee worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead and others and offers the results of his activities in order to free himself from the inebriaties of fruitive activities, his devotion is in the mode of goodness. Yeah. So now, what is the mode of goodness? Sattvic. Yeah. So that is a Sattvic bhakti where a devotee wants to offer the results of his activities so that he can be free from the karmas and reactions, right? That is the devotion in the mode of goodness. Yeah. Yeah, it says here like the pure devotional service as described by Rupa Goswami is free from all material desires. Anya bhilasita sunyam. There can be no excuse for personal or material interest. Devotional activities should be transcendental to fruitive activities and empiric philosophical speculation, right? Should be beyond that. Pure devotional service is transcendental to all material qualities. That is in the mode of goodness. Let's continue reading this, Tarun.
Devotional service on the modes of ignorance, passion, and goodness can be divided into 81 categories. There are different devotional activities such as hearing, chanting, remembering, worshipping, offering prayer, rendering service, and surrendering everything. And each of them can be divided into three qualitative categories. There is hearing in the mode of passion, in the mode of ignorance, and in the mode of goodness. Similarly, there is chanting in the mode of ignorance, passion, and goodness, etc. 3 multiplied by 9 equals 27, and when again multiplied by 3, it becomes 81. One has to transcend all such mixed materialistic devotional service in order to reach the standard of pure devotional service, as explained in the next verses. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, yeah. So you see how the devotional service is classified into 3 modes. Yeah. And there are 9 ways you can do the devotional activities. As we know, like Shravanam, Kirtanam, hearing, chanting, Shmaranam, which is remembering, yeah, praying, worshipping, offering prayers, rendering service, surrendering, and all that, right? So there are 9 different ways of doing devotional service. Each of those activities can be done in Satogun, Rajogun, and Tamogun, yeah. And then each of those again further classified into 3 different modes. So like that, there can be like 81 different modes of doing the devotional service is what is being explained here. Yeah. Anilji?
मद्गुण श्रुति मात्रेण मयि सर्वगुहाशये मनोगतिर्विच्छिन्ना यथा गंगाम्भसो अम्बुधो लक्षणं भक्ति योगस्य निर्गुणस्य हिदाहृतम् अहेतुक्य व्यवहिता
या भक्ति पुरुषोत्तमे. The manifestation of unadulterated devotional service is exhibited when one's mind is at once attracted to hearing the transcendental name and qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is residing in everyone's heart. Just as the water of the Ganges flows naturally down towards the ocean, such devotional ecstasy, uninterrupted by any material condition, flows towards the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So when one's mind is attracted to hearing the transcendental name and qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, yeah, that is the best devotional service, what is being mentioned here. And that's nicely explained, Ajay. Ajay, unmute.
Avyavahita means without cessation. A pure devotee must engage in the service of the Lord 24 hours a day without cessation. His life is so molded that every minute and every second he engages in some sort of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Another meaning of the word avyavahita is that the interest of the devotee and the interest of the Supreme Lord are at the same level, on the same level. The devotee has no interest but to fulfill the transcendental desire of the Supreme Lord. Such a spontaneous service unto the Supreme Lord is transcendental and is never contaminated by the material mode of nature. There are symptoms of pure devotional service which is free from all contamination of material nature. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so nicely how the devotional service is explained. And it also says here, like it is specifically mentioned here in our, that bhakti, devotional service is meant only for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yeah, Lord Narayan, Vishnu, or Krishna, not for anyone else. Yeah. Jyoti, you are there?
Yes, I will read.
Okay.
Salokya sarasti sampaya saryu ya kitham apya uta dyatyamanam na grahati vinamat sevanan jana. A pure devotee does not accept any kind of liberation. Salokya, sarasti, sampiya, saropya, or ekatva, even though they are offered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Jyoti. So very important, yeah. A pure devotee, what happens is when a devotee is so advanced in the devotional service, right? Or like a highest level of meditation, then then what happens is they are offered different kinds of liberation. Yeah, it's described here. So Salokya means living on the same planet with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yeah, then it says here Srasti is having the same opulence as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Sampya is being a personal associate to the Lord. And then here Sarupya is having the same bodily features like Supreme Personality. And then Ekatva, yeah, which is oneness, like which is lot of sadhus and mahatmas, they try to be like, okay, oneness with the Lord, right? So all these different types of liberation, but what is being mentioned is a pure devotee does not accept any kind of liberation like that. Yeah, even though they are offered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is what is nicely explained here actually. So let's read this, Sachin.
When a devotee is promoted to the spiritual world, Vaikuntha, he receives four kinds of facilities. One of these is Salokya, living on the same planet as the Supreme Personality. The Supreme Person, in his different plenary expansions, lives on innumerable Vaikuntha planets, and the chief planet is Krishna Loka. Just as within the material universe, the chief planet is the sun, in the spiritual world, the chief planet is Krishna Loka. From Krishna Loka, the bodily effulgence of Lord Krishna is distributed not only to the spiritual world but to the material world as well. It is covered by matter. However, in the material world, in the spiritual world, there are innumerable Vaikuntha planets, and on each one, the Lord is the predominating deity. A devotee can be promoted to one such Vaikuntha planet to live with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So very interestingly, right, if you see how the spiritual planets are described. Yeah. So like in this material world, like in the material universe, yeah, says the chief planet is the sun, right? As we know, the sun, and then there are so many other planets. In the spiritual world, the chief planet is Krishna Lok. Yeah. But then there are a lot of Vaikuntha planets. Yeah. And based on, like it says here, the spiritual world, there are innumerable Vaikuntha planets. And actually, if you remember, it was mentioned in one of the cantos and one of the chapters that 75%, like if you take the whole thing, like the whole thing, including all the innumerable universes and the spiritual planets, 75% of the world is actually spiritual world. Yeah. Only 25% is materialistic world. And out of the 25%, ours is a very, very small universe too, right? So think about like how enormous this whole thing is. But so like this, a spiritual world has innumerable Vaikuntha planets, and in each planet, the Lord is the predominating deity. And as was mentioned, like Salokya and Shastri, and so depending on how a devotee is looking for things, he is offered all those different qualities. Yeah, but saying that a pure devotee is always concerned about surrendering to Lord Sri Krishna, and that's all he's concerned with. He's not concerned with all these other opulences, is what is mentioned here. Yeah. Ajay?
In Sarasri liberation, the opulence of the devotees is equal to the opulence of the Supreme Lord. Sanipya means to be a personal associate of the Supreme Lord. In Sanipya, liberation of the bodily feature of devotees are exactly like those of the Supreme Person, but for 2 or 3 symptoms found exclusively on the transcendental body of the Lord Srivatsa. For example, the hair on the chest of the Lord particularly distinguishes him from his devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Right? So in the Vaikuntha planet, even the shape and the form of the spiritual body also is similar to the Lord Vishnu. Yeah. That's what is mentioned here. Tarun?
A pure devotee does not accept these 5 kinds of visual existence, even if they were offered, and it certainly does not hanker after material benefits, which are all insignificant in comparison with spiritual benefits. When Prahlad Maharaj was offered with some material benefit, he stated, "My Lord, I have seen that my father achieved all kinds of material benefits, and even the demigods were afraid of his opulence. But still, in a second, you have finished his life and all his material prosperity. For a devotee, there is no question of desiring any material or spiritual prosperity. He simply aspires to serve the Lord. That is his highest happiness." Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah? So I think the important thing to learn here, right, is not only a devotee does not go after the material benefits, right? As we know, like most of us will go after the material benefits, right? Some kind of opulence, some kind of getting out of distress, and so on and so forth. But not only the material benefits, but a pure devotee doesn't even go after the spiritual existence benefits. Yeah. Like as we saw, all this Sarupya and Shasti, all these different benefits, spiritual benefits a devotee can get. But a pure devotee doesn't even go after the spiritual benefits. Forget the material benefits anyways. Yeah. And a nice example of Prahlad Maharaj is given. So for a devotee, the important part, the most important part is he simply aspires to serve the Lord. That is his highest happiness. Yeah. So that's how a pure devotee is described. Yeah. Seva bhakti yogakhya atyantik udahat hai yenati vrajya trigunam matadvayopapadyate. So by attaining the highest platform of devotional service, as I have explained, one can overcome the influence of the three modes of material nature and be situated in the transcendental stage as is the Lord. Yeah. So along with the Lord, one can be in the transcendental stage by being a pure devotee, being in the highest platform of devotional service. That's what Kapil Muni is explaining to Mother Dehuti. Yeah. So we are going to pause here since we only have a couple of minutes left. And we'll continue to see Vaishnav Devi's live Aarti, which was yesterday, because it's Navratri. This whole week is Navratri. Yeah. And then we'll see you tomorrow at 9:50 p.m. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Jaya Bhagavati Devi Namo Varade Jaya Papa Vinashini Bahupalade Jaya Shumbhane Shumbha Kapala Dhare Pranamami Tu Devi Narati Hare Jaya Chanda Divakarane Tadhare Jaya Pavaka Bhushita Vatravari Jaya Bhairavade Halirina Pare Jaya Vakade Chavishoshakari Jaya Mahisha Vimardini Sholakari Jaya Loka Samastaka Papahari Jaya Devi Pita Mahavishnuti Jaya Vasara Shakya Shirovanati Jaya Shanamukha Sayudha Hishanuti Jaya Sagar Gamini Shambhuti Jaya Gopakare Javinashakare Jaya Putra Kalatra Vivedhi Kare Jaya Devi Samartha Shari